What is up? Need for Speed Racers, it is I, your wheelman, Alex Cornnut, here today with the meta racing cars for B-Class. The cars I'm going to show you today are all of the cars in the B-Class that hold a current crew record on our timesheet. We have been collecting data over the last year and a half over the fastest guys on the fastest cars on each individual track for all of them. We don't race Gauntlet because there's too much RNG for the cops, and so this is just normal racing. The list I have before you is as follows. We've got It Twisted through Turntable. You'll see that the RSR is predominant. It's on there 7 times. We got the MX-5, the 180SX, the Mercedes 190E, and the Ferrari Testarossa. So I'm going to show you all of those cars today. You can use this list as kind of a baseline for what is fast around the B-Class tracks. If you are not able to get to these times, I get that because a lot of these are world records. I can't say they all are because it's impossible to scrub the whole internet and know every time that anybody's ever run, because there might be somebody out there that's fast that just doesn't even post their own record. So it's impossible to say, but these are a great starting point. It's how we within the Cornnut crew judge and use our baseline to know. And so let's dig into it. We are going to start with the RSR because it is the most predominant one on the list. And you can use multiple different tire combos to figure it out if you want to do more of a drift setup or a grip setup. So I'm going to show you that right now. Let's dig into it. The RSR slays. It is a cheese build. It's got crazy acceleration and it'll do about 132 with redline tech. And that's just where it lives, so let's get into it. The engine that we use on this one, you guys, is the 4th engine over. It is the 2.2 liter inline 4, 121 brake horsepower when we start, and we go like times 4 on that one, so you'll count over 1, 2, 3, and 4. For the parts, it is Elite Platinum Induction, Iron Basic ECU, Elite Platinum Fuel System, and Silver Pro Exhaust. You are going to run the Elite Platinum Centrifugal Supercharger, Basic Nitrous, Elite Platinum Road Suspension, Stock Brakes, Elite Platinum Grip Tires, Stock Clutch, and then you are going to put on the Sport Bronze 5-speed transmission. So do make sure that you've got that one equipped. It is the stock transmission, but it's important that you have that there. You are going to run the Elite Platinum Diff, so that way you can get the most out of the handling slider, and then the auxiliaries, whatever you want. We run grip and drift out here so you can get those micro drifts going. For the handling, for the grip setup, slide it all the way to the left, 80% grip, as we do. Steering sensitivity 2 clicks high for me. That's personal preference. You guys do whatever feels best. Downforce, you're going to go 3 clicks to the right of center. So if you count 1, 2, and 3, that is B159. That's how I drive this car. That's how a lot of the grip guys have been driving it. Now, if you want to change the tires around, there's a lot of things you can do with this. So if you wanted to be more of a drifty boy, you can do a couple different things. You can run the drift tires or you can run the road tires. Either one is fine. The build doesn't change, just the tire compound does. So if you want to throw on the drift tires, slap them on there, run your handling slider to the right wherever you think is best, 65, 70, 80, whatever works. That's going to be a comfort thing for you, whatever feels best in this car, because it is pretty temperamental. You can do whatever you want with the downforce because it doesn't change the number at that point. And now, because you've done all that, you do get to put on a Silver Pro bottle of nitrous. The Super Gold does not fit. There's no way to make that 159, so Silver Pro is where you're at there. And if you want to look into brakes, you probably can if you run your downforce up, but you don't need brakes. So that's what changes. You get a little bit better bottle of nitrous if you decide to run it as a drift build, but I run it as the grip. Everything else is the same. So this car slays on all the short tracks. It's what holds the records. I'm very fast in it. It's my personal preference. I think it's great. So it's really important you guys put that one in the garage. Let's move on to the next car. The Mazda MX-5 is next on the list. It is good on one track. It is power, because power is a top speed track. This car actually gets up to top speed with proper driving mechanics. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Probably 95% of you guys are not going to be able to get the most out of this car because you've got to have everything else mechanic-wise down to perfection. Your micro drifts, you're saving your boost, using boost correctly, drifting. I mean, there's a lot of mechanics that you have to have down to make this car perform at the highest level to achieve the lap time that it has achieved. Doesn't mean it's a bad car. It just means that some of you guys are going to have a better time in a car that's set up for 130 mile an hour and has 600 horsepower. But regardless, I'm showing you the cars based off their lap time, so you have the best in your arsenal, and then it's up to you to drive it. So let's dig in. The engine that we use in the little Miata is the first engine over. It is the 1.8 liter inline 4, 128 brake horsepower when we start, and we essentially double it. For the parts, it's Iron Basic Induction, Sport Bronze ECU and Fuel System, Iron Basic Exhaust, Elite Platinum single turbo. You're going to run basic nitrous, and then you're going to run Elite Platinum road suspension, stock brakes, Elite Platinum drift tires. This is a drift car. That's how it set the record. No clutch, don't worry about that. And then you are going to put the Sport Bronze 4-speed transmission in it. The 5 does not fit, so 4-speed only, you guys. You are going to run the Elite Platinum diff, and then auxiliaries, yes. Here's the deal, Drifty boys. You can go anywhere from neutral to the right. You have that entire slider to play with. This is, once again, a preference thing. Running it all the way out to 80 is what a lot of the drifters do. Some of you guys might live in the 60 zone. It's whatever you want to do, and then you can back off the downforce based on where you put that handling slider. So if you're all the way to the right, you can back that off quite far. If you're more in the neutral zone, you're going to have it all the way high. So play with those a little bit, get a feel for what works best for you, but this is the engine build for the car, and then where you put the handling slider is totally personal preference. I run traction control off. Most of the guys run brake tap or gas tap, both of them for those record-setting runs. But that's going to give you the Mazda Miata, 161 for the top speed. That's why it's on this list for power, 248 for the horsepower, 194 for the torque. You're going to get walked on most other tracks in this car. You're not going to just pick it up and be fast. I want to put that in there right now. Somebody else is going to be like, oh, Cornnut, the Miata's not even good. I beat that car in X whatever. That's fine. Go get a lap time that this runs. I bet you can't. So there's going to be a skill issue between being able to drive the car and being able to drive fast. There's a huge gap right there. So I'm not trying to demean anybody, but I don't want you guys in my comments being like, well, I'm fast in this, it's meta. No, what you do doesn't matter unless you're touching these lap times. The lap times are the defining factor on what is meta. I'm bringing you the cars that set the lap times. It's up to you to bridge the gap. We'll move on. Let me show you the next car. The 180SX. This car gets it done on 2 tracks. We're looking at Riverwalk for a 145 and then Tourist Trap for a 136.55. So once again, know the track for the car, because if you're driving the wrong car on the wrong track, you're probably not going to have the same success. But regardless, it is a little better on those tracks because it does get up to its top speed. Now, guys, 4th gear in this car is bugged, for better lack of terms. You're further ahead to get into 4th for just a little while and then short shift into 5th and then pretty much stay in 5th. 4th gear it has a very slow acceleration for some reason. Just know that going in, 4th gear is not the place to live. Let's dig into the build. Now, the engine that we are using is the second engine over. This is very important, you guys. It's the 2.0 liter inline 4 202 brake horsepower when we start. The reason I'm very specific on that is because there is 2 of these engines with the 2.0 i4. So make sure you get the second engine over the first of the 2 options. If you build on the 247 brake horsepower, you're not going to get the same results. And you can be like, oh, Cornnut, your build doesn't work. You need to update your video. And I'm like, the build is brand new. Like, follow instructions. Second engine over. Cool. Parts. It is Iron Basic induction ECU. You're going to do Sport Bronze fuel system, Iron Basic exhaust, and then Super Gold screw supercharger. You're going to run the Sport Bronze nitrous, Elite Platinum road suspension, silver brakes, whatever, Elite Platinum drift tires. Once again, this is a drift machine, so you got to drive it that way, otherwise you won't get the same lap times. Stock clutch. Sport Bronze 5-speed transmission, guys. Make sure you put that in there. The 4-speed just doesn't do it. You've got to build out the 5, and then make sure that you're only in 4th gear for a very short period of time. Like, you'll go 3rd to 4th, and then not stay in 4th very long, accelerate just a little bit, and then short shift, get into 5th. That's going to be better for you overall. It's just the way the car works. Elite Platinum diff, that way you get the most out of your handling slider, and then auxiliaries, of course, drift and grip, get the most of your micro drifts. Handling. Here's the dealio. You have 60% all the way to the end. So you can live anywhere from 60 all the way to 100% drift. Personal preference for you drifters. Set up the car the way that it feels best for you. You can't go less than 60 and keep it in the class. So that's kind of your slider range there. I would probably run it right around 80. 70 or 80 probably. Steering sensitivity, I run 2 clicks high. You guys do you. Some people run that all the way low, so keep that in mind. Downforce all the way high. Once you put the spot where you're happy with the drift, you can then play with the downforce and maybe back it off a couple of clicks. It really depends on where that handling slider is at first. Traction control off, drift entry, probably gas and brake tap. That's what most of the fast guys do. I run brake tap because I just can't be bothered to get fast at drifting because, guys, it's a skill issue. Top speed 152. That's why it's good on tourist track and Riverwalk, but it's not as good on power because it doesn't quite hit the same top speed as the MX-5, but it does have a good top speed. 255 for your horsepower, 261 for your torque. Overall, car gets it done. You've got to have your mechanics down, though. Once again, car set the lap record in the crew. I give you the car, up to you to learn how to drive it. That's the best way I know how, and that's why we keep track of these things. All right, let's move on to the next. All right, next car in the stack is the Mercedes 190E. Good on one track. It is going to be the OG. 136 is the time that it's set. Here's the deal. It is the ASAP Rocky 190E. If you use the regular 190E, you are going to have no success. There is a difference. You must have the ASAP Rocky edition. It is a hero car. It has different downforce characteristics. It's kind of like the special settings that the Audis have. That special handling model, it's kind of like that, but not quite. But this car outperforms the regular 190E when you do a one-to-one comparison. It's faster, so you need to have this one. That out of the way, let me show you the build. The engine that we use in this one is the first engine over. It is the 2.5 liter inline 4, 192 brake horsepower when we start, and we add about 100 horsepower from there. Now, pretty straightforward. It's iron basic induction ECU and fuel system. You are going to do sport bronze exhaust and then elite platinum single turbo. We're going for the top speed. That's why this car exists. Once again, good on one track. So I would say these one-track wonders, unless you're going after times, probably not even put them in the garage. But unless you want to have a meta build on everything, it makes sense to me. I get it. Sport Bronze Nitrous, Elite Platinum Road Suspension, Stock Brakes, Elite Platinum Drift Tires. The drifters are taking over the scene, and so you're going to see a lot of that as we do more of these videos. You're going to go with the stock clutch, and then you are going to run the Sport Bronze 5-speed transmission. Make sure that you've got that one in there. And then you're running the Elite Platinum differential. Auxiliaries, same as always for us racers, it is grip and drift. For the handling, here's the deal. You have 65 through 80. You've got those 4 clicks right there. It's up to you where you put it. You've got to be at least at 65% drift. You can have more, but not less. Steering sensitivity, that's personal preference. Downforce all the way high. And then as you add more drift, you can have a little less downforce, but that's going to be up to you to decide what is best. Traction control off, drift enter, brake tap. All right, ASAP Rocky 190E, 162 for the top speed. That's why it's fast on the OG, but it's only got 291 horsepower and 233 foot-pounds of torque. This is another one of those cars that you've got to be damn good with your drifts, your banking your boost, accumulating boost in a straight line, getting your micro drifts, chaining everything together for that perfect run, and that's why it has the lap time that it does. But these are set by guys that are legit cracked at this game. So I'm bringing you the best, and I just want to put an asterisk on every single one of these. Like, guys, you got to have your mechanics down, otherwise these cars aren't going to do what you need them to do. The next car is a very user-friendly one. Let me show you what we've got. If you know, you know. The Testarossa was meta in a lot of the tracks until we started getting to track-specific combos and really got into the grind of what is the highest performing level. This is one that pretty much anybody can pick up and be fast on. If you have 2 cars in B class, realistically, it needs to be this and the RSR. If you have these 2, you can go slay on pretty much any track. This has got a lot higher redline tech than the RSR. RSR only does 131, 132. You can get up to like 140, 141. With a 3-bar of boost, you'll see as high as 145, and then you come down off of that. So this thing actually has a really good speed, and it'll get you around most tracks faster than pretty much everybody else, unless they're slaying with some of the previous cars I've showed you. So let me show you this build. It's really quite good. I would encourage you guys to throw this one into your build list. We use the first engine over. It is the 4.9 liter V8, 225 brake horsepower when we start, and we go way up from there. For the parts, it is Elite Platinum Induction, Elite Platinum ECU, Iron Basic Fuel System and Exhaust, and then you are going to run Sport Bronze Roots Supercharger. Sport Bronze Nitrous, Elite Platinum Road Suspension, Stock Brakes, Elite Platinum Grip Tires. Now, you can drift this if you want. Literally throw on the drift tires, slide the slider the other direction, and you're good to go. I run grip. This is what I bring you guys. And in B class, the grip still has a place in the world. There's only a few tracks where the drifters are actually running from us, so it's where I'm safe, I feel like, because I can beat almost every drifter in B. We are going to run the stock Sport Bronze clutch, and you are going to run the Sport Bronze 4-speed transmission. This is omega important. You guys are going to f this up. Somebody always does. For eternity. There's always somebody that doesn't get this far. They will build everything else. The Sport Bronze 5-speed is what comes equipped. They will get to this step, right? They'll do everything else, and they'll get here and be like, oh, Cornnut, your build sucks. It's A+, 246. It's not even B class. You need to update your build. You don't even know how to do anything. You're shit to your YouTuber. Put the 4-speed transmission, and it'll fit you guys. I promise. We're good. Just follow all of the steps, not just some of them. And by the end of the day, you'll get there. I feel bad for teachers in today's society. It's like people get hung up on the first sentence of all the instructions, and they can't be bothered to do the whole assignment. Do the whole assignment. You will get to the same point I do, I promise. We are running the Elite Platinum differential, auxiliary, grip, and drift. That's what we do. If you're racing, you need those in that order. Handling, 90% grip is how we get it to fit in the class. Steering sensitivity, do whatever you want. 2 clicks over, in the middle, low, high, whatever. That's you guys. Downforce, 1 click to the right of center is B, 159. That's it. That's the only place that I like to have it. You can go a little less, but I like to have it 1 click to the right of center just to make it handle a little better for me. You do whatever you want. You want to run it all the way low like that? You can do that. Traction control off, drift, entry, brake, tap. If you guys want to run it as drift, you can do that. You go slide right in here. Instead of buying the grip tires, go buy the drift tires and slap them on there. And then once you've got your grip or your drift tires equipped, you can run that handling slider to the right. Not very far. You can go 40% drift. And that's pretty much going to be all you're able to do. Everything else stays the same. There's really no other parts you can upgrade on it because you only bought yourself 1 point. So just be aware of that, you guys. It's really going to be a preference thing. I've run this car in grip. Most of us run this car in grip. You guys are going to just run whatever you think is best. But in this case, grip it and rip it, boys. All right, that is going to be the Ferrari Testarossa, the last car in the lineup. 130 for the top speed. Like I said, it redline techs up to 140. 618 on the horsepower. That's why it redlines so high. 746 for your torque. If you can't drive the Miata, you can't drive the 190E, and you can't drive the 180SX because you're either not a drifter or you don't have the mechanics down, build this one. It's going to be your saving grace for the majority of B class. Like I say, in B, I run 2 cars. It's the RSR and the Rosa if I'm getting sweaty. Those are the 2. So I would say go with that. It's going to treat you right. Guys, if you made it this far in the video, you're a legend. I appreciate you for watching the whole thing. Or skip it to the end and get in the best car. Whatever works best for you. Please, legit, take 1 second out of your day and hit the like button. Press it on your phone. Click it on your computer. That helps me a lot. These videos where I do the best in the class are the ones that get the most attention. And there's always somebody that goes and rips these builds off and puts it on their channel. But you guys know that they're coming out of this camp first. So I would really appreciate you if you do that. If you didn't have these cars or anything, drop a comment down below. The comments help out too. And I try to read all of them. I usually actually do read all of them. So likes and comments, they do help. If you've never built these cars before, give it a like. If you've built the cars already, give me a comment and be like, Cornnut, I already had these and you're a slayer. Whatever works. I don't care. But help me with the interaction, helps the channel grow, and I'm thankful to you guys for that. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.